Whew. How are you guys doing? Hopefully things are going well. Joe, I was wondering who that was. The nicknames you guys come up with sometimes are interesting, and I appreciate them all because it's just awesome. So, what are we doing now? This is today, right now. This is the last session inside of our 2-day. And you might say this should have been the first, who knows? But I want to give you guys just an understanding, right? Some of you have been around with us for a while, like you've been here a long time, meaning we've been producing online content since 2014, and some of you have been here since 2014, and others of you, maybe you just got here today. Either way it goes, I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that you are taking your future in a very serious way. Now, I want to say a couple of things. Where to go? I want to make sure that everyone knows that even if this is your first session with us, you still have the replays. The replays are still here for the moment. They will be going away, okay? So don't get upset. If you're like, hey, I'm planning on watching, and then they're gone. Don't worry, we'll let you know, but still pay attention to your email. As well as posts in the group, but we'll let you know. Speaking of the group, if you are looking for information, a lot of that information can be found right there inside the units. And in this particular case, what does that mean? Well, it means very simply that that's where you can find the downloadables, the workbooks, the things that we have, quote unquote, passed out to make sure that you have them available. Additionally, if you don't have the workbook yet, feel free to pick it up right there because it's, well, there for you. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that right now, what we're about to discuss, what we're going to talk about is, where to go? Number 5. Yes, we are on number 5. The process. The process equals progress. Conversation. How can you know where you are along this journey? Which is another way of saying some of you may have been exposed to other information, and because you may be considering like, hey, how is this different, and what is going to be the information or the reason that this will make the difference for me? And I'm gonna do my best to give you some context, because some of you, as you have gotten started, I want to give you context for what you are mentally and emotionally, physically going to go through, so that you end up on the other side. Also, I'm going to do my best during this session to also link in some of your existing experience, meaning in certain professions will translate very well. But in no means does it mean that not having that experience doesn't mean you can't do this. I just want to illustrate for you in a more clear fashion some of the things that might be questions in your mind. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, yes, we are looking for you to join us. That's why we've talked about the roadmap. That's why we've continually giving you the steps and the things and the detail that you need in order to understand where it is that you're going. In fact, if you missed, I think it was the second session today at 9, is where we started talking about, we laid out who you needed it on the team. And during that session in and of itself, back here on the board, we drew out what is functionally the flow chart for how the business will grow and the detail under which you'll need to become the CEO, and what that means and how to do that and the order in which to bring people aboard, because we went through a lot of those things, because I know that that's one of the things people wonder about from time to time. So for those of you, if you're joining us for the first time today, know that this has been a 2-day event. Today we have gone through technology used in the business, the people you need on the team, your vision and your story, why those things are important, the tour of the roadmap, and you got to meet 2 of our accountability coaches and hear their story as well, following the process. And now we're going to be talking about tracking the progress as well. And then yesterday, what you got, or what we were able to cover, was all in the realm of why short-term rentals are the most effective way to build your portfolio, how to find the capital, in the system, literally, on how to do that, how to get landlords to say yes, the necessary systems you need to build the business, and how to create, literally create freedom. Because it doesn't just happen, it is something that you must do with intention to make it happen. And that's exactly what we talked about yesterday. If you want to catch up with all of that information, all of those replays, all of the workbook exercises and whatnot, you want to get over to cashflowdiary.com/2-day replays. Cashflowdiary.com/2-day replays, because then you'll be able to catch up, right? And know exactly what's going on. Additionally, for those of you who want, if you haven't already, feel free to go over to cashflowdiary.com/roadmap to get connected to the rest of the group who are in the roadmap and catching up with the learnings and understanding how to build the business, what changes are necessary, step-by-step instruction, making sure that you, whatever it is that you feel like is missing, the chains come off and you move forward, because that's what we've been able to do for a number of people. We'd love to do it for you. So cashflowdiary.com/roadmap. Coupon code is April 2020. If for some reason, however, you'd prefer to have a chat about some of the thoughts and concerns that you may have, feel free to, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Feel free to catch up with Robert. You can schedule a call at cashflowdiary.com/2-day call. All right, now that that's done, let's get into the meat of this, because I'm excited to deliver it to you, and hopefully you're excited to receive it. As you start something new, I think back in 2017, in fact, back in 2017, a gentleman by the name of Howard Love wrote a book. And inside the book, he talks about an economic concept. Now, we talk about a lot of different concepts, and it can sometimes sound like I'm making stuff up, right? Because we can talk about just lots of things that maybe you're like, I don't understand what that has to do with real estate and business and all this other stuff, but it does, trust me. And what it comes down to is that I share them because it's not just about giving you the tactics of what to do. That is really easy, but if you just rely upon tactics, what ends up happening is you don't learn to think, you don't learn to navigate economic changes, and you don't know what to do or how to protect your business, how to grow your business and protect the jobs and opportunity that you have built for other people. And we want to make sure that you get the whole thing, all of it, everything that you can to build the 6- and 7-figure enterprise. Now, with all of that being said, there is like I said, there are a number of times where it can sound like it's a little, Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off type of situation. And we're not talking about Jevons paradox today. For those of you who have heard me before talk about economic concepts, we're not talking about Jevons paradox. We are actually going to talk about something called the J curve. Now, when I say the words the J curve, some of you could be tempted to think that I'm talking about a curve in reference to myself, and that is not the case. It is not the case at all. But it will give you context for everything else that is coming your way, right? When it comes to the J curve, what it'll do is it'll help explain the difference. For those of you who have been around long enough to understand that in the past, we had a product called the Blueprint, and we have a product called the Mastermind. And now we have this product called the Roadmap. And you're like, well, I don't understand. What's the difference? Isn't it all the same? The answer is no, it's not. And we're going to leverage Howard Love's book and the J curve to explain it to you. And hopefully you got your pen, paper, iPad, whatever it is that you want to take some notes on with, because we want to make sure that you absolutely understand this. This concept will be the difference for some of you making it to actually receiving the benefits that you desire, period. understanding this concept can give you this I was going to say stick-to-itiveness, but I don't know if that's a word, but it doesn't really matter if it is or it isn't. My point is, understanding this concept can help you to succeed, whereas others may have failed or fallen, or where maybe even you have failed and or fallen before in the past. Okay, so here we go. There we go. The J curve. The reason it's called the J curve is simply because of the way that it is shaped. It is shaped like the letter J. All right, and so I'm going to draw it for you here on the board, but this is what I'm referring to in general as well when I say the J curve. So I want to make sure that you understand that is not something I made up. It has nothing to do with that in that sense. All right, so now for a second, let's pretend you're back in math class, and I know I used the M word, I'm sorry, but here we go, right? So we've got, you remember those graphs? So yeah, you got the y-axis, you got the x-axis, right? You're like, oh my God, don't do this to me, Jay. No, I can't hear you. Don't worry, that's as far as we're going. And what we're talking about though is a curve, if you will, that is shaped like so. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And this literally represents, it represents your journey, we'll call it entrepreneurial journey. Your entrepreneurial, come on, give me one more word, journey. Yeah, there we go. Been using these all day. We will get there. We will make it. Okay, so this represents your entrepreneurial journey. Now, over here, okay, there are basically 6 phases to the J curve. 6 phases to the J curve. Those phases are, when you're talking about it, when it first starts. Phase number 1 is all around create. And I'll explain why this is important. Because see, right now, today, many of you, or at least over the last 2 days, you've been at create, the create stage, right? The create stage is full of a certain type of energy and excitement, and it's fun and whatnot. This is the, for those of you who have the shiny object syndrome, you like spending a lot of time at the create stage, right? And thinking about it, and I'm right there with you. I have fun too, okay? But this is really important to understand that this is what happens to each and every entrepreneur, each and every service that you have ever considered to bring to the marketplace. This right here. Okay. Then what happens is you've created it. And now once it's created, you're going to move to stage number 2. Stage number 2, this is also, at least at the beginning, it is a fun stage. It is what is known as release. During this stage, you've created what you believe to be, the minimal viable product, the MVP, and you start putting it out there in the marketplace. You want to see, do the people like it? What do they say? You start collecting this feedback around it, and now you're learning things, right? Because when that feedback comes back, often you have to make changes. And when you make those changes, you're into this 3rd stage. This is where you are now, we'll call it morph, where you're changing. You're changing the product to fit what your customers are telling you that they need. That's what's happening. You created, you're like, okay, cool, it's exciting. And then you're like, oh yeah. And then you start getting feedback. You're like, okay, they don't like this, they don't like this, they don't like this. Let's change this, let's move that, right? And then all of a sudden, what happens is that as you continue, you get back up here, okay? And you go through the 4th stage, and inside this 4th stage, what happens is you begin to develop a very solid model. You're like, All the numbers are making sense. You're like, I think I got this. This is beginning to click, and you start talking about optimization and just seeing if you can't increase revenue, increase internal rates of return, getting more bang for the buck, all the catchphrases, right? Because ultimately, you are then headed to stage number 5. And once you get to stage number 5, this is the buzzword that we're always hearing, especially today. It's all about the word scale. Jay, that's what I want to do. I want to scale. Okay, wonderful, awesome, great. I want to scale. That's what I need. I need scale. Got it. And this is where you're literally, for all intents and purposes, pouring gasoline on the already lit fire. You know what your numbers look like, and you're just doing more of it in less time. More of it in less time. This is that part where I talk about going from 1 unit to 10 to 15, 20, 40, 50 beds in operation. This is what we're talking about, okay? And then you get over to here, right? And this is what we've historically called phase 3, but you can also call it a season or a season of harvest. What does that mean? That means you pretty much got you're now at that 1 hour a day. You've got your free cash flow that is continuing to happen for you, and you've been able to build this thing from here, from the create process, all the way through over to here where you get to harvest. Here's why this is important for you to understand. See, these first 4 steps right here in the book, they call this the Valley of Death. Yeah, it's called the Valley of Death. This is where most people quit, inside of one of those 4 phases. That's where most people quit, right? So knowing this, or intuitively knowing this, we've designed a lot of our products around this same type of model. Because see, if there was something out there called the blueprint that you are aware of, that was all around this whole create spot. And it was designed to get you 1 unit, so you could get 1 unit and release it. And that's pretty much what it did. That's all it did. It wasn't designed to do any more than that. You got your 1 unit and you released it. And if all you were after was 1 unit, there was nothing else to do. There's no need, nothing else to do. And then we also released a product called the Mastermind. And you know what it was designed to do? It was designed to take you from create through release, and it began to give you the skill sets, the tools, if you will, that you needed to make the changes, because you were working towards getting to scale. And it gave you a very solid model. That's what it did. That's what it was designed to do, and that's what it's done for a number of people, and they've been able to build very, very nice multiple 6 figures with it. But as I said, what we wanted more from more people. We wanted to create more 7-figure operators. And to do that, that meant we had to deliver a product that could help people go from model to scale, to help them learn how to do that. How can I take the 2, 3, 4, 5 units I may have built and turned it into 20, 30, 40, 50 bedrooms or more? What could we do to make that happen at the end of the day? And along this journey, that's why back earlier today, the second session around who was on the team, this is in order to make it to stage number 5, a lot of it has to do with building that team so that you have the capacity, the availability to do it. And unfortunately, the mastermind, it stops right here. It helps you get to this point, and now, why the roadmap, for those of you who have wondered, is now we have what we need in place to take you from create through release, through the changes that you're going to need to make, obviously solidifying the model, all the way to scale, right? All the way to scale. And that's exactly what the roadmap is designed to do. And that's what it does, is that it helps people achieve scale faster than they thought possible, especially for themselves. Because when someone who is brand new and inside of a month can be considering 4 locations and know that they have the correct resources to effectively operate them in a profitable manner and know that they can do it again in another couple of weeks, this is what we're talking about, is acceleration through this valley of death. Because the valley of death is coming for everybody. It comes for every product, every entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form. And a part of the reason that we have structured everything this way, what color do I want to use? I'm deciding what color I want to use. See, when you are below this line, this is the most important time when you need some of the strictest accountability. This is what you need, because it feels like it's not working, or is it me, or I can't do this. And because the goals and the things that you want to achieve tend to be still over here yet, right? And what it comes down to is that we pulled together the program and the resources in such a way as to help you get through each of your individual J-curves, because each one of you are starting, well, somewhere different. And that's part of the fun/challenge of being an educational/training company, is that when you guys come to us, we have to find out where you are, because we don't know. and some of you, you think you're over here or here, and then we ask a couple of questions and we realize that you're more of over here between 2 and 3. And we have to back you up and put in some pieces so that you can not shipwreck yourself. But in your mind, you based upon everything that you know, yeah, you might be ready for scale, but let us help you find out first. And that's kind of where, the intake and the onboarding, because when you're meeting your accountability coach for the first time, this is what they're evaluating. Where are you? Okay, got it. And then once they know, then it becomes very, very clear. All right, then here we go. We need to do this, 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 and this so that we can get you to there. And that's really what we're talking about in various different forms, is that this curve, it happens. Most people quit. So, and let me translate this. Here's what happens. When you have access to a video course that is, it could be up to date and all that stuff, as well as, with the PDFs and the workbooks, it has the information, right? So the information is in there. It's not a lack of information. Information. The information is present. That's not what's missing. What we've learned that's missing is the accountability to keep pressing forward. As you experience the discouragement of the word no, as you experience that, hey, I don't have everything that I need in order to pull this off. Here's the fun part. Every one of you watching this, many of the skill sets that you have will be used here. For example, one of the types of individuals that have been engineers, they do very well with our system because it's literally step by step all the way through to here, right? This is what we do. So it's very step by step. I myself was a double major in electrical engineering and computer engineering technology. So that thought process has never left me. And it tends to be how I teach things in a very modular sense, right? So again, if you've experienced anything with us, then yeah, the blueprint, it'll help you create something and get it to release, because that's what it was designed to do. And then as you get to what we call the mastermind, you get over here you have a solid model. But then you're going to start to experience challenges as you go from 4 to 5, trying to achieve scale, because you're really building more of the team than you are building the actual units in and of themselves, and things change there. And they change frequently, especially right now. And you want to continue on this curve and have the support structure, the accountability there to help you. And that's why it takes time. That's why it's 12 months. That's why it's not a weekend with just more videos, PDFs, and workbooks, because information isn't enough. It just isn't. I mean, we all know that we should eat an apple a day, but hey, I'm not going to ask you if you do that. We all know that we should work out and do certain things like that, but I'm not even going to ask you if you do. The information has been available, and it's not about that. The information is the tool. Remember, as we've said this entire time, learning to use an expert tool expertly is what this has all been about, which is and there's only one way to teach using an expert tool expertly, which is why it's more of an apprenticeship program than it is an apprenticeship. Do not make fun of my spelling. I have no idea if I got that right. Okay? So, but it's more of an apprenticeship program than anything. And we work with you, work right alongside you to help make sure that as you go through, that as you learn to use the forge and the hammer, that you banging on the nails, and that whatever you are building for yourself and for your family can survive the test of time, for lack of a better way of putting it, because the marketplace changes. As the marketplace changes, you too, your business, must also change. One of the best things about this business, in my opinion, is simply that, well, there will always, keywords, always be a need for housing, which is great. Always will be a need for housing. And therefore, the only question is how do we want to use that housing? How big of a distribution network of housing are you willing to build? And that's really what it comes down to. We deliver the service of housing, and you get to choose how big your distribution network is. Because the first, and this is the fun part, okay, so here, now we're gonna have some fun with this whole J-curve thing, right? So here's the fun part. One of the things that I consider fun about this is that when most of the time when you hear us talking about numbers and revenue and all that stuff, where'd it go? Here we go. When you hear us talking about it, the number one thing we're talking about is only the accommodation rate, meaning accommodation rate. Please understand that that's just the beginning, right? Everything that we're talking about, being able to build a multiple 6- and 7-figure business, is literally based upon the accommodation rate. And because of today's economic situation just the situation around the economy and everything that's happening, one of the needs our customer has is food delivery. They have a need that is completely different than it used to be, meaning it's not as easy or as quick or as fast to just go to the grocery store anymore. And then when you do go, you run a certain risk. Whether perceived, imagined, whether you believe it or not, here's the point. Your customer is now willing to pay for that to be done for them in a certain way. And having built the basics, you're able to then start adding more services, more lines of revenue, more to the team inside of the scale, being able to get more, what is technically called ROAS, return on your advertising spend, because you're adding additional lines of service. And that's what, that's part of what happens when it comes down to the roadmap, is understanding that once you've got this part down, once you've gotten to this part, now adding additional services, adding additional ways for you to provide economic value to the same customer becomes a whole new ball game and feels like a brand new business. And you are in a position now to affect your local, keywords here, local economy in a very strong way. And we spend a lot of time focused on this formula. It's L times C times M times F equals GP. Because we want to help you optimize that formula. Because your optimization or ability to optimize this formula can ultimately determine your profitability and take it from your standard, say 20% of net profit, and get you to your 40s and 60s, and because this helps you do this faster. Because L stands for leads, this stands for customers, M stands for margin, F stands for frequency. And just as a quick, simple lesson, when it comes to frequency, imagine being able to get any one customer to come back just one additional time to your location within the same year. That's it. Like, if there was a way to make that happen, what does that mean for the rest of this? Well, ultimately it means that you get to skip over certain parts and you get to scale faster. It means you get to profitability, you get to increased profitability, you get to your growth potential. That's what GP is for. And at the end of the day, analyzing this can always tell you exactly what to do, depending on what's going on in the marketplace. But it starts with just an understanding that going through this process successfully is not something most people do solo, right? You need to do the work, but we will definitely guide you through. Engineers, in my opinion, they do have a leg up because it's very much built on that. But at the same time, those of you who are artists and or athletes in the past, you also have a leg up because you know how to fail. Those of you who are project management, or if I say the word Gantt chart and you know what that is already, or you've used one, you are going to be very, very good right here. This create and release process you're going to crush it. And then what's going to happen is that over time, we're going to be more of a support in these latter areas for you guys. Some of you are just going to be really, really great at understanding the systems of things, and building the team in the middle is where you're going to need the greatest amount of help. But either way it goes, because you have access to all 37 of the training courses, because you have access to multiple models that have been proven for a long time, even in this climate, because you have access to multiple models, we know for a fact that so long as you do the work, you stay committed, you keep showing up. That's why this is also why we meet multiple times per week, is because that's how you're going to learn. Spaced repetition. It's been something that you've been practicing. That's how you've gotten through elementary school and kindergarten and every other formal schooling you've ever taken. It's because they learned how humans learned, and that's spaced repetition, right? But in between those repetitions, you have to go practice. So we've designed it so that you can learn something brand new on Monday, practice it on Tuesday, get feedback on Wednesday, go implement the feedback, and get more feedback upon the changes on Thursday. And go implement again on Friday, Saturday, take Sunday off, and repeat the cycle and do it all over again. And therefore, it allows people to go through this really quickly. And that's a lot of what the roadmap entails, is it gives you the ability to build a more resilient business as you build a resilient character, as you build a resilient income for yourself and for your family. And we're here to support you all the way through. And we know that, yes, $13.97 is relatively to the output, it's not even that big of a deal. We know that, but that's not the point. The point is to help you make a difference in your local geography, because of all the things that are going on, the thing that's going to make the biggest difference is how many jobs you bring to the marketplace. We're very well aware of how many jobs have been lost recently, but my only question is how many jobs have you brought to the marketplace? Because again, full on 48% of the United States anyway, because I know some of you in Canada and other places, but 48% of the United States population is employed by a business with 20 or less than 20 employees. That's you. And the question is how many jobs are you planning to create over the next 12 months? Because from what I can tell, there's going to be a lot of people looking for them, which means that when it comes time for you to go from model to scale, and you're going to need more of them, they're going to be there, right? But they're not going to just sit around and wait. Because as I've said before, opportunity knocks, but it keeps on knocking until someone answers it, because they can't wait forever. And most importantly, they're going to work for the people who've got a solid model going on. And what you want to do is you want to get through these 4 stages. Once you get started, as you continue your journey here with us, now that you've begun the creation process, we want to get you to release, meaning let's get that first one out as quickly as humanly possible. What does that also mean? That means we're not going to focus a whole lot of time teaching you the things that are over here and over here and over here, because right now what we need to get you to is to release the product. That's what's important. I'm not saying that you don't eventually need to know this stuff. I'm saying to get from here to here, you don't need to know what's over here. You need to focus on what's over here. What does that mean? That means we're just going to continue to hold your hand all the way through. We're going to let you know exactly what to do, because we understand how the J-curve works. That valley of death, there's a lot of great ideas down there. There's a lot of great ideas down there. And we're here to support you all the way through, so that on the other end, you succeed. You don't become yet another victim of the valley, if you will. And the good news is that every one of us have been through our own valley of death. We've also come out on the other side. And you're going to be surrounded by individuals who are at various stages of that J-curve, assisting you to do the same thing, because that's exciting to us and it's fun. And you get to reap the rewards and be the hero and do all those fun things that you've imagined that you could one day do. That's what gets us excited over here at Cashflow Diaries, being able to make that possible for you. No. More like probable, because it's always been possible. But now we're going to increase the probabilities, the odds of your success, because surrounding you by individuals with accountability over a 12-month period, by people who have been there, who have the wisdom and the experience to guide you through, increases your success rate. And that's what we get excited about. And we just want to see you do it. That's really what it comes down to. We just want to see you do it. Because see, if you only focus on, oh my gosh, I'm not here yet. I'm not here yet. I'm not here yet. I'm not here yet. Okay, true. That may be true. But do you remember you used to be over here and now you're here? See, focusing on the process and progress is way more important. Yes, you will eventually get there. You may not run the 4-minute mile today. Fine. It may be 10 minutes. I don't know. I haven't, maybe it's a 10-minute mile. But just because you don't run a 4-minute mile the next day, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means that you have more you've made some progress and you have more work to do. And we're here to help you do each and every bit of it, because that's what gets me excited every day, is seeing that process happen. And some of you are going to speed straight through that, which is great. And others of you, it's going to take a little bit longer. either way it goes, we're gonna be here to support you all the way through, just like we've been here these past 2 days to do the exact same thing. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, at this point of the journey, you have the correct context for everything that we see in you, even though we may have never met, never talked. We know that your courage to at least be here says something. To keep showing up, it means something. And it typically means you want more than what you currently have right now. And we've laid out a roadmap, literally, for you to go get it. I'm hoping that you're ready. And by ready, it doesn't mean that you feel good, like, oh yeah, I feel ready. No. Start before you're ready. You're here. You told us you were ready the moment you showed up. And because you keep showing up, the only thing left is to take the next step, which is very simply, go to cashflowdiary.com/roadmap. When you get there, put in the coupon code, get started. And if you like, feel free to reach out and talk to Rob at cashflowdiary.com/2-day call. Because I want you to do that. I want you to hear and get your questions answered by all means. By all means, okay? But understand, you're still gonna go through all of those stages. And we're gonna be here to coach you, mentor you, show you all the way through. And what's really cool is that depending on where you are geographically, you're also gonna learn from other individuals who are also in the program. We've got, as I said before, we have 16 different countries. We have a lot of people in Canada. We've got a number, East Coast, West Coast, South, they're in many different places. And because it's so diverse, everyone's ideas and resources often unlocks a possibility for each and every person, which I think is great. It's great to be a part of it. It's great to experience it and watch individuals earn and become something that they had previously only dreamt was possible. If you're wondering if now is the right time, yes, it is. I am here to give you permission to step into the greatness that you were born to be. I definitely appreciate the time, the attention, the energy that you have committed to learning everything that we have given you. So now, your job is just to begin, to take the next step. Take what you have learned about your customer. Take that and begin to build your business. Take that and go find your location. Take that and negotiate the lease contract. Take that and begin to the creation process. Get into the release. Then learn to change and morph so that you can model, scale, and then harvest. Make sure you watch the replays because they will be up for a little while longer. And definitely schedule a call or just get started. Either way, we will be here to support you. Thank you for taking the time, hanging out with us over these past couple of days. Hopefully you've found it enlightening, encouraging, and that you've learned at least one thing. It's been fun talking to you guys. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.